Shak, how does it actually work then? How does it work in the mind, and what actually goes on in the mind when you're treating somebody with Shak therapy?
Well, the mind reacts fantastically to metaphors. If anybody knows hypnosis, studying hypnosis, they understand how powerful metaphors really are. A metaphor, for those who don't understand what one is, basically it's a story about something else that actually relates to the problem. As an example, if you're doing hypnosis on someone and you're doing a regression and you need to take someone back in time, consciously they won't know how to get there. So what I do is use a metaphor to let them understand that they don't even need to think about how to get there. And the metaphor that I use normally is a man is in a field and he's walking through this field, lovely high corn, and it's a nice hot sunny day, and this horse with a saddle on its back comes walking towards him. He looks around, he can't see the rider, there's no rider anywhere. So he climbs on top of the horse to get a better view of the field, looking for any collapsed areas in the corn where the rider may have fell up or fallen off. He can't see any. Then all of a sudden the horse starts to walk out of the field, goes down the country lanes and goes for quite a few miles down these country lanes. Eventually comes to this farm. The horse goes into the farmyard area towards some stables where there's a lot of work hands walking about, and also the owner of the farm, which is the farmer. He turns around and sees the man on the horse and says to him, "Oh, you found my horse." He says, "Yeah, it's fine." He said, "But how did you know where I lived?" He said, "I didn't. The horse brought me." That metaphor now relates to your own mind being the horse. Just let it take you where it needs to go.
So your unconscious guides you where you need to go, and you don't need to think about why or where you're going, because you'll go where you need to go anyway.
Exactly. So metaphors are very powerful. So going back to your first question about Shak, what we do is we bombard a person with metaphors, which means you don't need any hypnotic skills. You don't need to be a hypnotist to use the Shak treatment. It's a very powerful thing. All you need to do is show that you know what you're doing. Show it in your face, in your actions, your mannerisms. Be very confident. Once you're very confident, that person who is putting their trust in you will now look at you as if you know what you're doing, and their unconscious mind will say, "Fine, take over. Teach me how to make my limbs move." This is basically it. So then we use metaphors. The metaphor will be shown a bit later on this particular DVD, so I won't use that metaphor now, but we use metaphors which help to stimulate the mind. So for instance, someone's had a stroke, there's a minor explosion, for an example, within the brain. The signals are still trying to get through that explosion. So with metaphors, we can teach the signals how to go elsewhere. It gives the mind and the person a better understanding of, suddenly, it's what we say in the UK, the penny drops. It's like, I had never thought of that. And this is why Shak treatment is very powerful, because it teaches you something you never thought of. Now you can go to physio as much as you like. Keep going to physio if you feel you still need to go to physio, even after the Shak, because you've still got a lot of wasted muscle tissue, so it still needs to get up to par. The only difference being is that you feel more in control of your limbs. So this is why Shak is so powerful.
So Shak is like, instead of being a treatment as in you are treating the patient, what you're actually doing is showing the patient how to heal themselves using unconscious suggestion.
Correct, that's right. We make it very simple. I always have a saying when I'm teaching people, I teach in layman's language. I also teach in ABC 1, 2, 3. If it's ABCD 1, 2, 3, 4, it's too complicated. So ABC 1, 2, 3, keep it simple. And the best things in life always work better when you go back to basics. In any form of work or whatever it is, go back to basics. You'll find you can correct things a lot better when you go back to the very, very basics. This is what we do, take it back to basics.
Yeah, it sounds very easy and very straightforward. So when you're saying the person who is experiencing Shak treatment won't go into trance, but what they will suddenly experience is they can suddenly feel their right arm or the right leg again, and suddenly they stop drooling, or they stop these stroke symptoms, and suddenly it feels like a miracle.
Exactly right. Yeah, what it does effectively, it for simplicity, it balances the body. So when someone has had some form of trauma to the brain, if it affects a certain limb or the one side, you feel totally out of balance. So using the metaphors combined with this positive attitude, it really draws out their unconscious mind, gets stimulated. It stimulates itself so much, it is so intrigued in what you have to offer. It makes the person's peripheral vision go wider, for one, because the peripheral vision, the wider it gets, the more you absorb, the more you can take in. And there's a fallacy about you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I've done this on an 80-odd-year-old person who insisted she could not walk. She insisted she couldn't walk. I went down, as I was invited down. She didn't want to see me. She was against it all, didn't want no false hopes. And just after using my usual charm and said, what letter comes after S in the alphabet? She naturally said T, and I said, I'd love one. Went in there, sat down, spoke to this lady. I talk very fast, which you need to do. The unconscious mind likes to be stimulated with speed. It likes to take things in very, very fast.
Right.
So you need to learn to speak fast.
Which is the opposite of hypnotic language, I suppose, because you want to speed up the conversation. And
exactly right. Yes. So this way, that's reversing exactly right. The opposite to hypnosis. Hypnosis initially is an induction which takes you down, and it takes slowly and deeper. Whereas this Shak, you need to be able to stimulate the mind to be intrigued. So the conscious mind is very bored, as was this lady's face when she's looking at me, this 80-odd-year-old lady looking at me, and I could tell she was bored, but I did actually say to her, well, it's not actually you I'm talking to, it's your unconscious mind. So if you feel like you want to nod off, you're very welcome to, because even the quieter I talk, the less and less you can actually consciously hear me, but your unconscious mind can really, really hear me. So I'm stimulating our conscious mind to be intrigued even more. Within the space of half a cup of tea, this lady stood up, held onto a Zimmer frame, which she still needs with the vertigo. She still needs it. Her son-in-law was sat watching. She got on the Zimmer frame and walked straight away to the kitchen. The son-in-law was very impressed, because apparently she couldn't even put one foot in front of the other prior to me going to the house. So there's a big step for her. All she can do then from then on is improve. All we've done is taken away these mental blockages that she had using the Shak treatment.
It sounds fantastic, but you could just